to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today is Friday, and it's time for another episode of Frightful Fridays, in which I will be reviewing The Beast Within. Okay, first off, I'd like to say sorry about being a little late. Tried recording this yesterday so I could upload it, time it and upload it, but there was an issue with the sound, so I had to try and fiddle with this over and over and over again, and I just couldn't do it. So I'm doing it today. Okay, The Beast Within, a 2024 movie with Kip Harington in it. And Kip Harington, if many of you might know, is from Game of Thrones. Okay? Now this movie, I think, is trying to do, or does better, what I think the movie Wolfman from Universal was trying, earlier this year was trying to do. Okay, so let's go over the plot. We have a family. We have a mother, a father, a young child, a young girl, and the mother's father. They all live in an English countryside way out in the boonies. And this movie is told from the young girl's perspective. And she's got kind of a little thing where she needs oxygen. Not all the time. But, you see her, she's got a tank and she has to put on a little mask every once in a while. Because, she can't breathe and all that. But, you see that, at first you see the mother and the grandfather talking, you see the relationship with them, and then the husband, the father, Kip Harington, everyone's, you see the mother put him into a Jeep, and they take a little live pig. The father goes away, and he doesn't come back until the next day looking really ragged, and the daughter has no idea why. And but the father comes back, he's looking really ragged, and then you see the mother, while the father's recovering, the mother is off taking this, they've got this big wolf skin or animal skin blanket, or something like you'd see putting on a floor or something like that, but they wear it to keep warm. She's washing blood off of it and stuff, but and she's looking really scared. And you see this happen a couple times, and then the daughter slowly finds out what's going on. And what is happening is the mother takes the husband out to this little castle in a distance with the pig, locks the father up, and goes home until the next morning, because the father is changing into something, a werewolf. But so they don't really show the changing, but what they are doing in this movie, because it takes place over a couple of months of changing, is it shows the relationship of the family, of what it's like having to deal with that, the effects that this type of thing has on the family, and on Kip Harington's character. The changes in his behavior, the wild changes. In 1 second he's, really kind of loving, and the next second he's, and the fear that it installs in the mother and the father, because they always have a rule: don't. They always have to be back by dark. And so there's this growing, kind of mystery, this tension of, because the mother and daughter have this wonderful relationship until the daughter finds out sort of what's going on, and then once she sees what starts to happen to her father, she's kind of freaked out by that. So you have her trying to cope with, really loving her parents and having this wonderful relationship with them, and her grandfather who just absolutely dotes on her, but then actually not kind of trusting them because she knows that something's going on, and being scared of him because she started to see what was going on. And so you have that kind of building tension, and there's just these underlying questions, because you see the mother one time, she takes off her shirt and there's just these bruises all over her body, and you can sort of hear little arguments between the mother and father that's sort of muffled, because like I said, it's told from the perspective of the daughter, so she's not going to be in the room for these arguments. She can hear stuff from other rooms, and so she's not knowing what's going on, but she knows that there's something going on, and so it's just sort of like a psychological study of what it would be like having to deal with that month after month after month, and what that does to the relationship, because it seems like it's the mother and grandfather and Kip Harington's character actually does sort of really love the daughter, and she's she loves her parents, but then she's has this big revelation about stuff like that, so she's scared and she's trying to cope with that, and then the grandfather trying to deal with both sides, and it's pretty interesting. The only thing I have, you only see the werewolf once, or at one point, and that's near the end, and that's when you actually get to see him in full change, and they deal with the wolf and all that, and you don't really get a good look. So it's I think it's like what that one I just did last week, werewolves. So it's got a budget, and so they really couldn't show stuff. But it's also, I just don't think I don't really think it's much, it's not as important, the werewolf, the actual wolf part is the important aspect of the story. It's more the human relationship, the interaction between the people and everything. I think that's the more important aspect of the story of what they're trying to get. And while that part is good, it does go a little slow at times. And you're like, yeah, okay, and let's get this going. And then at the end, you're just like, okay. So it does sort of build up, in the end, I think, is a tad bit of a letdown. But overall, it's not that bad of a movie. It's better than that werewolves movie that I reviewed last week. But it's not a fantastic movie. The acting is all really good, especially the daughter, the young actress who plays the daughter. She does an incredible job for someone her age, playing that kind of a complex of a role. The mother and grandfather do a good job, and Kip Harington, who I think has the smallest role in the movie, but probably one of the most important because, it all revolves around him, even though it's told from the daughter's perspective. He does a really good job, but there's this certain, some of the stuff they have to work with is, so I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5 and say, hey, check that part out because it does have an interest, probably have a couple really interesting things to say about that in that aspect, but it is probably a tad bit slow at times. So if you're really into that, check it out. And I can sort of recommend it if it's that. If you're looking more for that than the actual horror or monster type of horror. If not, then kind of stay away from it. But let me know what you thought. If you watched it, like, subscribe, possibly share, and most of all, enjoy your horror movies.